Hey everybody, Jay Glazer bringing you another Facebook Live update. I don't know if you've noticed, but I think it's getting increasingly harder to start a Facebook Live session, so sorry for the awkward introduction. You can blame my videographer, Peter Kahn. I'll give you his number at the end of this video. So I wanted to talk to you this week about a topic of information and information transparency, but before I get into that, I'm going to talk about my have, needs, and my knows. So what do we have? We listed two great properties this past week. We have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condominium at 40 East 78th Street. That is a rare condominium that is west of Park Avenue. It does have Central Park views. Very hard to find something like that. Beautiful renovation, top to bottom. The owners did everything. Electronic blinds, built-in closets, total top to bottom reconfiguration. It's a really pleasant apartment, and like I said, has nice views of Central Park. Get the greenery while you still can before the leaves fall. That's listed at $3.5 million. Feel free to ping us for details and we'll get them over to you. We also listed a 2-bedroom, 2-bath at 66 Madison Avenue. That is the Nomad area. It's a very hot area in New York City, and it's a really nice apartment if you're looking for, say, like that starter 2-bedroom, 2-bath. If you have a kid or you just want a bigger home, this is at 1.8, so a pretty good price for a really emerging location. And again, hit us up for details on that. We would be happy to share them with you. So that's what we have. What do we need? We are working with buyers who are looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment on the Upper East Side for under $2 million. That's a value price right now. And if you have something like that, we would love to take a look at it because it's very hard to find quality inventory. So that kind of speaks to those sellers out there. If you are living in an apartment of that configuration and setup and you think you're in the $2 million price point, you might want to get on the market because there's complete lack of inventory for that type of space. And what do we know? We know that the market is ever shifting. I have used this word shifting now probably in every single one of my Facebook Live updates over the last few months. The market is constantly evolving. We're really changing. I think that a couple years ago I thought we were changing and we weren't quite ready to change, but we are now. So every week I'm just thinking about how we can become better navigators of the marketplace, how we could become better resources and advisors for you, our clients, and our colleagues here in New York City, and make sure that we are basically staying on top of the market. I think there are a lot of brokers, no disrespect, who fall behind because they're so caught up in the minutia of whatever listing they have, or generally speaking, not necessarily transacting so much, and therefore they're not really 100% up to speed. So that brings me to this topic of information, and really information means transparency. So 2017, we are in what I call, the age of information transparency. Basically, if you are a consumer out there and you think you can go at this alone, you can, based on the fact that you have access to information now, but that information can oftentimes be very misleading. So what I really wanted to speak to you about is understanding the information and then the value that someone like myself, an agent, can bring to you, the consumer, through what I would describe as nuance. So for example, there are a lot of really tricky, nuanced elements to New York City that a lot of people overlook. So for example, one thing I got into a discussion about with somebody a couple weeks ago was understanding, say, like a view break. So for example, if you have some information that's readily available, so for example, I have Zillow behind me, and Zillow has this thing called Zestimates, which essentially gives you some sort of number based on some arbitrary calculation and comps set for the value, the presumed value of the home that you're interested in. But that definitely doesn't take into consideration this nuance that I'm talking about. So nuance speaks to, like I said, a view break. So say, for example, you have something on the 14th floor, like our listing, for example. We are listed on Madison Avenue on the 14th floor, and that breaks all of the buildings around you, meaning it clears the buildings in front of the apartment. Therefore, you get direct views overlooking Madison Avenue, you get direct views of Central Park, and you have a really open sky view. That same apartment on the 9th floor, just 5 floors below, is not going to have the same view. And that is an implicit and inherent value difference right there. So if you look at something that, say, traded 3 months ago on the D-line that we have on the 9th floor, hypothetically, for 5% less, does that mean this apartment should be 5% more, 10% more, 15% more? We have to really dissect the nuance of that view, the differentiating factors of that view, to really understand, does the Central Park view add a certain price dynamic that should really differentiate the space on a far wider range than your typical 1 floor 1% or 1 floor 2% value change in the market. So there's little things like that. Another thing that happens in New York City all the time, you have apartments that are listed as a 3-bedroom, for example. So this apartment behind me is an apartment we've now brought 2 clients to see. It's on 12th Street between 4th Avenue and 3rd Avenue. It's a really awesome dynamic apartment, but in reality, it's basically a 1-bedroom apartment that's listed as 3. Now, what makes it a 1-bedroom apartment? By legal definition, the bedrooms aren't facing exterior windows, meaning they don't have natural light and air coming into them. That is, I think, by architectural standard, not a legal bedroom. Having said that, it is marketed as a 3-bedroom. So someone's going to sit there and look at the comps and say 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but in reality, this thing needs to be factored in. This apartment needs to be factored in with some other, say, 1 or 2 bedrooms, just to see what it could ultimately be valued at as a 1-bedroom, because that's kind of what it actually is. So that is really not a specific, or I should say a general rule of thumb that you can look at when you are pricing an apartment or when you're trying to deem value. That is something that is super, super hyper nuanced and needs to be addressed on a one-on-one basis. And quite frankly, if you're not an active player in the marketplace, you're not really going to know how to address the intricacies of those types of apartments and experiences. So that's why you need someone like ourselves or a trusted advisor, someone who really understands the dynamics of the market to guide you to the finish line of what you're looking to accomplish, whether that's getting a price reduction, whether that's paying less if you're the buyer, whether you're trying to get more if you're the seller, and what makes your property worth more. So those are some of the little things that I think are key when you're thinking about how much information is available to you on the internet as a consumer, because you're like, oh, I have access to all this information. You do, but it's not just the access, it's the dissecting and understanding of that information that I think separates the professionals from the amateurs. You know, I wouldn't try to break down my refrigerator and rebuild it, even though I might have a fundamental understanding that refrigerators keep food cold and I can eat it. Therefore, I understand refrigerators. No, that is in fact not accurate. I know nothing about refrigerators other than clearly I need one in my life like everybody else out there. So anyway, hopefully that was helpful to you. That's my update, my Facebook Live update. We're going to come back to you again next week with another one. As always, love to hear your comments, questions, concerns, thoughts. Just chime in. Love to hear from you, and see you next week. Take care.